Maya thought OnlyFans was just easy money. Ethan believed he had found the perfect fanbase. Both were wrong, because the faceless subscriber who followed them wasn't just watching their posts, he was already inside their rooms, waiting for the perfect moment to make himself known. When I first opened my OnlyFans account, I told myself it was temporary, just a way to make some extra money until something better came along. I never expected it to take off the way it did. Within weeks I had more subscribers than I thought possible, and every day brought new notifications, likes, tips, comments. It was addictive, watching the numbers climb, feeling wanted by people I'd never met. It almost felt like I had control. There was one account that caught my attention early on. Unlike the others, it had no profile picture, no bio, nothing that revealed anything about who they were. Just a username that looked like a random string of letters and numbers. I wouldn't have cared, but this person never missed a post. No matter the time of day, they were the first one to like it, the first one to tip, the first one to leave a comment. At first I thought I was lucky. Most creators dreamed of fans like that, silent but generous, always present. But after a while, something started to feel wrong. His comments weren't like the others. They weren't the usual short compliments or emojis. They were observant. Too observant. When I posted a picture of myself sitting on my bed, the caption was nothing special. But he replied, "You look good with that blue blanket folded up behind you." My stomach twisted. When I read it, the blanket was behind me, yes, but it wasn't in the frame. I had been careful about what showed in my photos. Somehow he knew it was there. I told myself it was a lucky guess. Maybe he had zoomed in and seen a corner of it I hadn't noticed. But then it happened again. Another photo, another comment. This time about the mirror leaning against my wall. A mirror with a thin crack running through the glass. Something I had never shown, never mentioned. The words sat on the screen, harmless to anyone else, but to me they were heavy, suffocating. I kept asking myself how he could possibly know. I tried brushing it off, convincing myself I was imagining things, but the unease grew with every post. I became obsessed with checking the background of every picture before uploading, making sure nothing personal showed. I cropped out walls, blurred corners, rearranged the room to be as bare as possible. Still, he found something to mention. A water bottle on my desk, a stack of books I had never shown anyone online. His attention to detail was so sharp it felt less like he was guessing and more like he was already in the room, watching as I set up the shots. At night, the worry followed me into my sleep. I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to every creak of the house as if it were a warning. The wind brushing against the window, the pipes rattling deep in the walls, they all sounded different now, alive somehow. It was as if the silence itself carried footsteps I couldn't quite locate. The longer I listened, the more convinced I became that someone was there. One night, I stayed up later than usual, scrolling through my phone to distract myself. My room was dim, the only light coming from the screen in my hand. I checked his account again, hoping maybe he had unsubscribed, maybe he had disappeared as suddenly as he arrived. But there he was, still sitting at the top of the list of active subscribers. I set the phone down and pulled the covers over me, telling myself I had to stop obsessing. That was when I heard it, a faint sound, muffled and low, like breathing. It was coming from the other side of my bedroom door. Not steady like my own, but uneven, deliberate, as though someone was trying to keep quiet. My chest tightened and I held my breath, straining to listen. The sound lasted only a few seconds before it stopped, but it was enough to freeze every muscle in my body. I wanted to believe it was the house shifting, or maybe my mind playing tricks, but lying there in the dark, I couldn't shake the image of someone standing just inches away, their ear pressed to the wood, listening. And though I tried to convince myself I was imagining things, I couldn't help but notice one thing when I checked my notifications the next morning. The blank account had left a new tip, higher than usual, attached to a single comment. Sweet dreams. I told myself over and over again that it had to be a coincidence, that maybe I was letting my imagination twist everything into something darker than it really was. But deep down, I knew better. The account wasn't like the others. It wasn't there for the same reasons. The faceless subscriber wasn't simply watching. He was studying me. Every detail, every movement, every shadow in my room seemed to be under his control. And the more I tried to ignore it, the stronger the feeling grew that I wasn't just performing online anymore. I was being monitored offline, too. I thought the only way to break the pattern was to stop feeding it. I didn't log in. I didn't post. I didn't even open the app for 3 days. My phone felt like a weapon against me, like each notification was a trap waiting to snap shut. Those 3 days were the quietest I'd ever experienced. No comments, no tips, no strangers pressing their attention on me. At first I thought it was working. I felt the faintest sense of relief, like maybe I was finally taking control back. But then I woke up on the 4th morning and saw a notification that didn't belong. My phone screen lit up before I even touched it. There was a new message on the platform, sent in the middle of the night. My heart sank when I saw who it was, from the same blank account. The note was short, and it wasn't like anything I had received before. It read, "Why did you stop? You look so peaceful when you sleep." I dropped the phone like it was burning my hands. My breath caught in my throat, and the world tilted beneath me. I never posted myself sleeping, not once. The idea of someone knowing how I looked when I was unconscious made me feel sick. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it. Had I accidentally left my camera on? Had someone hacked my phone and recorded me through it? I checked my camera roll, my cloud storage, everything. There was nothing, just the message, taunting me. The rest of the day, I couldn't focus on anything. My walls felt too thin, my windows too wide. Every reflective surface in my room seemed to hold a set of eyes that weren't mine. I unplugged my laptop. I turned off my phone and taped over the camera, just in case. But the dread didn't leave. If anything, it deepened. Because now I couldn't tell myself it was harmless. He was describing things that could only be seen if someone was there close enough to reach out and touch me. That night I tried to force myself to sleep, but exhaustion mixed with paranoia made it impossible. I lay still in the dark, staring at the faint outline of my ceiling fan spinning above me. I told myself to breathe, to calm down, that I was safe inside my locked room. But then it happened. Out of nowhere, a tiny green light flickered at the top corner of my phone screen. It was there for just a second before disappearing again. My chest tightened. I knew what that light meant. The camera had been activated. Something or someone was using it. My hands shook as I grabbed the phone and turned it over, pressing every button I could to shut it off. But the damage was already done. If he had been watching through my phone, then he had already seen everything. The way I moved in bed, the nervous way I scanned the room, the fear written across my face, the idea that I wasn't alone, that he had a direct line into my life even when I thought I had cut him off, made me feel like I was suffocating. My bedroom, once my safe space, now felt like a stage. Every corner could hide a camera. Every silence could hold a listener. I stayed awake until dawn, too terrified to let my eyes close. The glow of the morning light did little to calm me. If anything, it only revealed how small and exposed I truly was. When I checked my phone again, despite everything I had done to block him out, there was a new notification waiting. Another tip, another comment. Just 2 words this time, but they froze my blood solid. Nice smile. I taped over my camera. I deleted the apps. I turned off every device I owned, but the fear didn't leave. It sat with me, heavy and alive, like something crouched in the corner of the room, waiting. I tried to convince myself that I had control again, that if I cut the wires, shut everything down, and went quiet, the faceless account would fade away. But the dread had already seeped too deep into my life. When I woke up the next morning, I didn't feel rested. My body ached from the tension of staying stiff all night. I told myself to get up, to shower, to act normal. But then I checked my email. Not the platform, not social media, my private inbox. The address wasn't connected to my OnlyFans, wasn't listed anywhere online, wasn't given out to strangers. Still, there it was. A message with no subject line, from no recognizable sender. Inside was a single image. My heart nearly stopped when I opened it. It was a photo of me, asleep in my bed. The angle was wrong for it to have been taken by my phone or laptop. It was from above, like someone had been standing right over me in the dark, leaning close enough to breathe on me. My mouth was slightly open. My hair splayed across the pillow, every vulnerable detail captured. The knife I kept in the kitchen suddenly felt like the only thing between me and whatever had taken that photo. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I sat upright in bed, knife in hand, forcing my eyes to stay open. I stared at the door until it blurred into the darkness. Every sound made me jump: the tick of the clock, the groan of the floorboards, even the hum of the refrigerator down the hall. Hours passed like this, every second sharp and unbearable. At some point, the silence cracked. A soft creak echoed from the hallway outside my room, so faint it could have been nothing. But I knew the rhythm of this house. I had grown up in it, lived in it long enough to memorize its voice. That sound wasn't the house. That was weight on the floorboards. Someone moving, slowly, carefully, trying not to be heard. The knife slipped from my sweaty grip and clattered against the wooden floor, the sound louder than I could bear. My body froze. I held my breath, listening for the next step, the next creak, the proof that I wasn't alone. And then it came. A faint shift of movement, just beyond the doorframe. I didn't dare get up to check. I couldn't. The darkness pressed in tighter around me, and the silence that followed was worse than the noise. Whoever or whatever was there had heard me, and now they were waiting to... When morning light finally broke through the blinds, I told myself it was over. I told myself I had imagined it, that exhaustion had played tricks on me. But my phone buzzed, and the sound nearly made me drop the knife still clutched in my hand. Against every instinct, I reached for it. There was another email. No subject. No text. Just an image. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. I opened the file with trembling fingers, already knowing what I would see. It was me again, captured in the dark. But this time, the photo wasn't of me sleeping. It was of me wide awake, eyes staring toward the doorway. My face was pale, lips pressed tight, hands gripping the knife I thought had made me safe. The angle was different, too closer, tighter, as if the camera was just a few feet away from me, inside the room. The realization spread through me like ice. Someone had been there, not watching from a distance, not hacking a device, but standing in my doorway, hidden in the dark, waiting while I sat frozen in fear. I dropped the phone onto the floor, my chest heaving, bile rising in my throat. Every wall, every shadow felt alive. I couldn't stop my mind from repeating the same thought over and over. If he could get inside once, he could do it again. And if he was close enough to take that photo, maybe he had never really left. I thought going to the police would save me. I walked into the station clutching my phone like it was a piece of evidence, showing them the photos, the messages, the strange account that seemed to be everywhere I was. They looked at me the way people do when they've already decided not to believe you. They said the emails could have been doctored, the photos could have been staged, maybe I had done it myself for attention. They told me to lock my doors, close my windows, and be careful online. I walked out of there feeling smaller than I ever had before, like I had been dismissed into silence. That night, I pushed a dresser against my door. I double-checked the locks. I taped every corner of my laptop and phone, even covered the peephole in my front door. I thought if I built enough barriers, maybe I could sleep again. But the silence in the house was unbearable. It was no longer quiet. It was suffocating, heavy with the awareness that someone, somewhere, was listening. The first package arrived the next morning. No return address, no markings, just a plain brown box sitting on my doorstep. My stomach turned as I carried it inside. When I opened it, I froze. Inside was a hoodie I thought I had lost weeks ago, one I remembered putting in the laundry basket but hadn't seen since. The smell of detergent still clung faintly to it, but now it carried something else too, a trace of someone else's presence, something metallic and sour. I dropped it back into the box and shoved it across the room, my hands shaking. 2 days later, another package appeared, smaller this time. I didn't want to open it, but I couldn't leave it outside either. My heart hammered as I tore the cardboard open. Inside was a Polaroid photo. The image made my knees weaken. It was me, sitting at my desk, typing on my laptop, completely unaware of the camera behind me. The photo was grainy, but it was clear enough. My back turned, the glow of the screen illuminating my face. My posture slouched with exhaustion. Whoever had taken it had been inside the room with me. I searched the house from top to bottom. Every closet, every crawl space, every inch of the attic. I knocked on the walls, ran my fingers along vents, even pried open the basement door that I rarely used. Nothing, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't looking in the right place, that maybe he didn't need to hide in the house at all, because he had already made the walls themselves his hiding place. Nights blurred together. I hardly slept. When I did, I woke gasping, convinced someone had been standing over me. My appetite vanished. I lost track of time, lost track of myself. Then, one night, while scrolling through the blank accounts page, something new appeared. For the first time, there was a post, a video. My thumb hovered over the screen, my whole body screaming at me not to press play, but I couldn't stop myself. The video opened with static before fading into the familiar layout of my bedroom. The angle was wrong for my devices. It was shot from high up, maybe a hidden corner of the ceiling. The image was shaky, like it had been filmed by hand, but there was no mistaking it. It was me, sitting in the same chair where I had just been a few hours earlier. My fingers typed across the keys, my shoulders hunched, my expression blank with focus. I felt the blood drain from my face. I was watching myself in real time. The clothes in the video were the same ones I still had on. The drink on the desk was still half full beside me. I paused, looked over my shoulder, and felt my throat close up when the figure on the screen did the same, as if we were connected. I turned the video off, my heart slamming in my chest. The silence of the room no longer felt like silence. It felt like breathing, like movement, like someone else's weight pressing against the air. And when I gathered the courage to glance at the corner of the room, I thought I saw the faintest glint of a lens catching the glow of the screen. I stopped pretending I could live normally. I stopped eating at the table, stopped walking through the house unless I had to. My bedroom became a prison, but even there I couldn't find peace. The curtains stayed shut, the dresser pressed against the door, every device unplugged and hidden away. Still, the feeling of being watched never left me. I could feel it most at night, when the air grew heavy and the silence swelled like lungs holding in a breath. That was when the shadows stretched too long, when every corner seemed to shift and stir if I stared too long. I barely recognized myself anymore. My reflection in the mirror was pale, with dark circles under my eyes, and lips cracked from dehydration. I didn't want to look at mirrors anymore. Every time I did, I expected to see someone else in the background. My phone buzzed occasionally, even though I had turned off notifications for everything. I didn't want to touch it, but curiosity gnawed at me until I picked it up one night. There was a new message waiting on the platform, the same blank account. No money attached this time, no comment about my room. Just 2 words, turn around. My stomach dropped. I was lying in bed, blankets pulled to my chest, phone glowing in my hand. I couldn't move. My body was locked in place, my pulse hammering in my ears. Slowly, against everything screaming in me to stay still, I turned my head. At first, I saw nothing but the familiar outlines of my room, the closet door, the desk, the chair. But then my eyes adjusted to the darkness. In the far corner where the shadows were thickest, something shifted. A crouched shape, still as stone, head tilted at an unnatural angle. Two faint reflections blinked back at me, catching the glow of my phone screen like animal eyes. My mouth went dry. The phone slipped from my trembling hand and landed on the bed. I couldn't scream, I couldn't breathe. The figure didn't move closer, it didn't run or hide. It just crouched there, watching, as if waiting for me to make the first mistake. The longer I stared, the less human it looked, its limbs too long, its stillness too perfect, its eyes unblinking. I don't remember what happened next. Darkness washed over me like a wave, and when I opened my eyes again, daylight had already filled the room. For a moment, I thought it had been a nightmare, but my phone was still lying on the bed beside me, screen cracked from the fall. I picked it up with shaking hands, praying the message had disappeared. But there was more now. The blank account had uploaded again. Not a comment, not a tip, but a post, a video. My hands trembled as I tapped it open. The footage was shaky at first, then steadied. The image froze, my blood cold. It was me, lying in bed, my mouth slightly open, eyes fluttering as if caught between sleep and waking. The camera was close, too close, the angle low and intimate, like someone had been leaning right over me. The sound of faint breathing filled the audio, but it wasn't mine. The video shifted, pulling back. That was when I saw it. I wasn't alone in the frame anymore. Behind me, half hidden in the shadows, was the crouched shape I had seen the night before. Its head cocked, its eyes gleaming, its mouth stretched into something that almost resembled a smile. The video ended abruptly, the screen returning to the faceless account's blank profile. I sat frozen, my lungs aching, my fingers numb against the phone. I tried to tell myself it was staged, edited, some sick trick, but deep inside, I knew it wasn't. The details were too real, the rise and fall of my chest, the faint twitch of my fingers as I dreamed. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the empty screen. Hours, maybe. The sun fell, the shadows grew again, and the silence of the house returned to that suffocating heaviness. I couldn't bring myself to move, to breathe, to do anything but listen. And then, just as I was convincing myself I was safe in daylight, my phone buzzed one last time. A new message from the blank account. No words, no tip, no video, just a single image. It was a photo of me holding the phone, sitting in bed, staring at the screen, taken just seconds ago.